Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful day, even if I'm running on about 2 hours of sleep and way too much caffeine. We have so much to unpack today, and honestly, my head is still spinning from all the latest drama. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's just dive right into the absolute madness that is currently happening in Los Angeles. So let's just get right into it, because honestly, I am still reeling from everything that's been going down. You guys know how chaotic things have been lately with the whole Forrester versus Spencer war. I mean, it's been non-stop. Ever since Hope defected to Logan Creations and completely blindsided Forrester, the tension has been off the charts. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the absolute train wreck that happened at the Bikini Bar. We all saw it. Will Spencer, completely drunk and out of his mind, getting into a brawl with RJ Forrester. And, of course, RJ, being the sneaky little guy he is, ducks at the exact right moment, and Will's fist connects right with Eric Forrester's face. Eric, the Patriarch, the legend, getting a black eye from a Spencer. And naturally, all hell broke loose. Elektra dumped Will on the spot, throwing her necklace at him, which was dramatic but totally justified from her perspective. Ridge went on an absolute warpath, demanding Will be locked up, completely ignoring the fact that he literally just punched Bill Spencer in the face a few days ago. The hypocrisy of Ridge Forrester is honestly exhausting. I'm so tired of it. But anyway, that was the setup. We all thought this was just going to be another standard soap opera legal battle. Ridge pushing for assault charges, Bill throwing his money around to protect his son, Katie crying in the middle of it, all while Brooke disowns her, the usual. But wait, the writers actually threw us a massive curveball, and I have to admit, I didn't see this coming at all. I thought Will was just being a violent jerk because he was heartbroken and drunk. But it turns out there is something way darker going on here. After the whole assault on Eric, Will went home and he started acting weird, beyond just being depressed over losing Elektra. He started having these intense, terrifying memory lapses. Short periods where he literally had no idea what he had just done or said. At first, I think we all just assumed he was hungover, or maybe the stress was getting to him. But then the extreme personality changes started kicking in. 1 minute he would be crying, begging for forgiveness, and the next minute his eyes would go completely dead and he would snap into this cold, ruthless, almost terrifying persona. Katie and Bill were absolutely terrified, and let's be real, it takes a lot to terrify Dollar Bill Spencer. But seeing his son spiral into this unpredictable, aggressive state, it shook him to his core. So they did what any rich soap parents would do. They rushed him to the best doctor's money can buy for some deep, intensive medical testing and the diagnosis. You guys, it is wild. The doctors revealed that Will is suffering from a highly complex genetic psychological syndrome. And where did he get it? From Bill. Yes, Dollar Bill's literal dark side is genetic. But here is the kicker: it has mutated or magnified in Will, making it significantly more dangerous. I mean, think about it. Really think about it. Bill Spencer has always had this unhinged, ruthless side. He blew up the Spectra building with Liam inside. He threw Ridge out of a helicopter. He has done psychotic things for years and just called it business. We always just accepted that Bill was a ruthless businessman with a god complex. But this storyline is basically saying that Bill's lack of empathy, his explosive rage, his ability to just detach from human emotion, it's an actual psychological condition. And he passed it down to his youngest son. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Bill here. Okay, no, I'm not. He's a menace. But seeing him realize that his literal DNA is destroying his son's brain, that is some heavy, heavy stuff. The guilt on Bill's face when the doctor explained that Will's violent outburst at the bar wasn't just a choice, but a symptom of a genetic psychological break. Don Diamond is going to act the hell out of these scenes. I can already tell you that. But it gets worse, because before they could fully get Will under control and medicated, there was an incident. A really bad one? Enter Melissa Dillon. Oh my god, Dillon. I have been saying for weeks that she is playing a dangerous game. She has been hovering around Will ever since he and Elektra started having problems. When Will got dumped and banished by the Foresters, Dillon saw her chance. She followed him home, trying to be the supportive, comforting shoulder to cry on. She wanted to be his rebound. She wanted to swoop in while he was vulnerable. But Dillon didn't realize she was walking into a cage with a sick, unpredictable animal. During one of Will's severe psychological episodes, one of those extreme personality shifts we just talked about, he completely lost it. The details are a bit murky, but from what we know, Will had a terrifying outburst and almost seriously endangered Dillon. Like, it wasn't just yailing, he became a physical threat to her. I can just picture the scene in my head. Dillon trying to touch his arm, trying to coo at him, and Will just snapping. His eyes going dark, maybe backing her into a corner, completely disconnected from reality. Dillon must have been absolutely terrified. She thought she was manipulating a sad, rich boy, and instead, she almost became the victim of a genetic psychological meltdown. Honestly, it serves her right for trying to prey on him, but still, nobody deserves to be in danger like that. That incident was the breaking point. It was the moment Katie and Bill realized they couldn't just handle this at home with some therapy sessions. Will is a danger to himself and others. The family was forced to make the agonizing decision to isolate him. They had to put him in some sort of secure medical lockdown or specialized facility to get this syndrome under control before he actually kills someone. And you know what? This changes everything. The entire landscape of the show just shifted on its axis. Because right before this, Ridge was out for blood. He was calling the cops, calling his lawyers, ready to see Will Spencer rot in a prison cell for punching Eric. The legal battle was gearing up to be the ugliest thing we've seen in years. The Foresters were united in their hatred for Will. But then the medical news broke, and suddenly it wasn't about a spoiled rich kid throwing a tantrum. It was about a young man suffering from a severe, life-threatening psychological crisis. And this is where the story gets actually kind of beautiful, amidst all the chaos. The legal battle paused, completely halted. Ridge Forrester, the man who wanted to destroy Will yesterday, suddenly had to step back. Because you can't wage a legal war against a kid who is literally losing his mind in a medical facility. Instead, both families, the Foresters and the Spencers, are forced to coordinate. They have to call a truce, a real, actual truce. Not just a fake, let's be polite at a dinner party truce, but a we need to save this boy's life before a tragedy happens that we can never undo truce. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but Ridge and Bill are actually on the same side for once. Let's talk about that dynamic for a second, because it is fascinating. Ridge and Bill have hated each other for decades. They have fought over Brooke, over business, over everything. And now they are both sitting in the wreckage of their families, looking at this broken boy, and they are being forced to look in the mirror. This whole tragedy is forcing Ridge and Bill to deeply reflect on their own massive failures as fathers and as men. Let's start with Bill. Bill is shattered. He always taught Will to be a Spencer, to be ruthless, to never show weakness. When Will was hiding the Logan corporate secrets from Elektra, Bill literally told him not to feel guilty, that it was just business. Bill encouraged Will to detach his emotions from his actions. And now Bill is realizing that his toxic worldview, combined with his literal toxic genetics, has pushed his son over the edge. Bill is looking at Will strapped to a hospital bed or locked in a room, and he knows it's his fault. He gave him the genes, and he gave him the environment that triggered them. That is a heavy burden for a father to carry. And then there is Ridge. Oh, Ridge. He has been so high and mighty lately, so arrogant. Screaming about how Will is a violent monster who needs to be locked away. But this medical crisis is forcing Ridge to shut his mouth and look at his own actions. Ridge literally assaulted Bill in his office a few days ago. Ridge has a history of violence, of manipulation, of bouncing between women and creating toxic environments for his kids. When Ridge looks at Will's psychological break, he has to realize that the constant warring between the Forresters and the Spencers is destroying the younger generation. Ridge has to look at RJ, too. RJ, who manipulated that fight at the bar? RJ, who ducked so his grandfather would get hit, just so he could win Elektra. Ridge has to realize that his own son is acting like a manipulative coward, while Bill's son is genuinely sick. Are Ridge and Bill actually going to change permanently? Probably not. It's a soap opera. Give it 6 months and they will be punching each other over Brooke again, but for right now, in this moment, it is incredibly powerful to see these two arrogant patriarchs humbled by a medical tragedy. They are putting their swords down because if they keep fighting, Will is going to die or end up in an asylum forever. And what about Katie? My heart just bleeds for Katie right now. She has lost everything in the span of a week. She launched Logan Creations, which was supposed to be her massive triumph, but it cost her her relationship with Brooke. Brooke literally disowned her, screaming that Katie was her #1 enemy and that she was no longer part of the family. The Logan sisterhood is completely shattered. And now, Katie's son is suffering from a terrifying genetic syndrome. She has to watch Will lose his memories, lose his personality, and become someone she doesn't even recognize. Katie has always been the moral compass, the one who tried to keep Bill's dark side in check. And to find out that Bill's dark side was literally hiding in Will's DNA the whole time, it's devastating. Katie is going to have to lean on Bill more than ever, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this trauma pushes them fully back together romantically. Trauma bonding is real, you guys? I also have to wonder how Elektra is going to react to all of this. She dumped Will so harshly. She threw her necklace at him, she called him a monster, she moved out, and she immediately ran into RJ's arms. She thought she was taking a stand against a violent abuser. But now the truth is out, Will wasn't just being an abusive jerk. He was suffering from an undiagnosed, severe psychological syndrome. He was having a medical emergency. Is Elektra going to feel guilty? She should. I mean, she abandoned him when he was literally losing his mind. But knowing Elektra and knowing how much RJ is whispering in her ear, she might just double down. RJ is probably going to tell her, see, he's crazy. You're lucky you got away. RJ is going to use Will's medical diagnosis to secure his hold on Elektra. And that just makes me hate RJ even more. Honestly, RJ is the real villain here. He is a coward who plays the good guy while manipulating everyone around him. But maybe, just maybe, Elektra will have a moment of clarity. Maybe she will realize that she gave up on Will too easily. But even if she wants to go back to him, it's too late. Will is in isolation. He can't have visitors. He has to heal. And what does this mean for the corporate war? Logan Creations just had this massive, explosive launch. Hope defected. The HFTF diamond was used. The media is in a frenzy. But how can Katie and Bill focus on running a fashion empire when their son is in a medical lockdown? The business storyline might have to take a back seat to this family tragedy. Or maybe Bill will use work as a distraction. Maybe he will pour all of his guilt and rage into destroying Forrester Creations as a way to avoid dealing with his own genetic curse. I am just so fascinated by this turn of events. It is messy, it is emotional, it is clunky, and it is exactly why I watch this show. The writers took a standard boy fights boy over girl storyline and turned it into a deep, psychological family drama. Will is going to have a long road to recovery. He has to learn how to manage this syndrome. He has to come to terms with the fact that he has his father's darkness inside him, and he has to fight every day not to let it consume him. He almost hurt Melissa Dillon. He actually hurt Eric Forrester. Those are things he has to live with, even if he was having a medical episode at the time. And the family has to heal, too. The Forresters and Spencers are coordinating right now, but how long will this truce last? Once Will is stabilized, will Ridge go back to demanding he be arrested for hitting Eric? Or will Eric, who is always the forgiving one, step in and Grant will grace? I bet Eric will forgive him. Eric knows what it's like to struggle, and Eric has always had a soft spot for the younger generation. Honestly, I'm just typing this all out as fast as I can because my mind is racing with all the possibilities. This show just knows how to pull you back in when you think you have it all figured out. So, what do you guys think? Are you buying this genetic psychological syndrome storyline? Or do you think it's just a cheap way for the writers to redeem Will after he punched Eric? Do you think Bill and Ridge are actually going to learn from their parenting mistakes? Or are they just going to go back to their toxic ways next month? And what about Melissa Dillon? Do you feel bad for her that she almost got hurt? Or do you think she got what was coming to her for trying to prey on a vulnerable guy? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. I am going to go get some more coffee and try to process all of this. It is just too much. The drama, the tears, the medical twists. It's peak soap opera, and I am here for it. I'll see you guys in the next update. Stay tuned, because if I know the show, things are only going to get crazier from here.